So I've just replaced the alternator, the shiny device down there, just replaced the alternator on this Kia Rio 2004. Now, undoing the alternator isn't that bad. There's a couple of things. So the bolt, just where my, yeah, it's not going to focus on it anyway. The bolt center shot, I'll try to point to it if I can, but the bolt center shot right at the bottom there, you can loosen that. You can loosen the bolt center shot, that's a 12. Then you can loosen the nut at the end, or the bolt at the end of that. And then there's a bolt underneath that you also loosen. You loosen it all, and then you can actually take the alternator out in that section. But you'll notice that there's all these lines up here and all these hoses, and there's this brake booster and fluid, and you cannot get it out the top. So I thought, well, you will get it out the bottom, but unfortunately Kia have done a very bad design and put a lump of metal in the way. And I found the only way that I was happy to do it was to actually angle grind off the lump of metal, and then the alternator comes out easily and the new alternator goes in easily. So I'm not a big fan of angle grinding items off the car, but that was the only possible solution without getting a pry bar and prying the whole engine off its mounts and all this weird stuff that I saw on the internet. I thought it was just much easier to angle grind the bolts off, or sorry, this lump of metal off, and then just be done with it. So you can see in the back there is a plug, that's the alternator plug, and then under that rubber cap is the alternator main line that goes to the power unit, and the whole thing comes out really quite easily once you undo all of that. It's just getting it out of the car that was the problem. So here's my new alternator. Had to chop off that little block where you can see the shiny metal. I had to chop that off with an angle grinder from underneath the car here. I moved this little wheel out of the way, then I chopped it off with an angle grinder, and then the old alternator could come out and the new one could go in. You can also access the plugs from here, and a bit of access to that tensioner bolt, which is this one right up the back there, to tension up the belt. So yeah, a bit of a dog of a job, Kia. You have not done us a service making that little block, stopping the alternator coming out. Anyway, I'm going to fire it up. And this is the troublesome block that I just angle grinded off. You wouldn't think it, but that stops the alternator coming out. Ridiculous.